Hey everybody, Sean Bianco here, and I'm with the SEO titan today, James Dooley himself. He turned Google penalties into a six-figure engine and taught me the exact SEO testing blueprint I've been using for over a year to try and stretch Google's algorithm as far as it can go before that rubber band snaps. Stick around for his virality hacks, NavBoost secrets, and your free framework to stretch and master Google's algorithm the same James Dooley way that I'm using today. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this first episode in our new series called the Fail Fast Podcast. And who better to have on board for this podcast than James Dooley himself? I met James last year at a mastermind at a conference in, I believe it was Cyprus, right, James? Yeah. And since then, we've spoken a couple of times. We've met in Chiang Mai. We've met at a couple of different conferences. James has introduced me to some people. I've introduced him to some people. And the amount of knowledge that I've gained from this individual is second to none. Now, if you know James Dooley, he is a serial entrepreneur within the SEO space, is involved in quite a few SEO companies and quite a few SEO endeavors. He will be in Malta next week for the Casino Beats, or rather SBC Summit. I believe he'll be talking, let's just check that out, at 3 p.m. about the future of iGaming SEO. So James is an expert in the iGaming SEO space. I've dealt with James personally before on this. I've seen the kinds of networks that he's been involved in and what he's learned and what he's taught people. It's quite incredible. Him and Carl Hudson, who is also a very, very heavy hitter in this space, are going to be talking about maximizing backlink ROI, virality signals, and NavBoost triggering strategies for 2025 success. So please, anyone in my network, if you're in SEO, take advantage of this individual being in Malta next week. You do not want to miss it. It will be happening at the Intercontinental on the 11th of June at 3 p.m. Do not miss it. So James, thank you and welcome and thank you for joining us again for this podcast, on this new podcast rather, or this new concept, the Fail Fast Podcast. And I mean, most people who know you know about your 1.3 million subscribers on YouTube. They know about all of the digital assets that you've built. They know about all of the different companies you're involved in, all of the different strategies that you're implementing. But I don't think they know about your journey. I don't think they know about how you started that digital marketing agency in 2009 and how you went from that to growing one of the UK's leading digital real estate companies, or one of the largest portfolios, I believe, in the UK. And I'm sure there are a lot of people in our audience right now who are either starting a company or are just panicking about all of the changes in SEO. You know, things are not stable anymore, quite a lot of failures coming out. I think it would be great if people could understand your journey, where you start from, and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, I mean, I basically started. I never came from like a computer science background. So generally speaking, I got a website built, needed it to rank, didn't really understand how to rank it, and then needed to try to reverse engineer the algorithms. I love the fact that you're doing a podcast called Fail Forward. I think that majority of SEOs don't fail enough. They don't push the boundaries enough. And there's so many different nuances from industry to industry and from geo to geo. So what might work in the US and the UK might be very different, let's say in Sweden, for example. What works in the finance sector might not work in the iGaming sector. So, and for that, like there isn't any handbook that's going to tell you exactly what's working and what's not. You need to learn. I always say you win or you learn. So I don't really like, for me, it's like, but every time you do fail, and it is exactly your podcast, which is called Fail Moving Forward. It's not really a failure. You win or you learn. You learn from your mistakes and you get those mistakes and then start tweaking it along the way. And you will make a lot of mistakes in the SEO community. You will make a lot of mistakes. So if you're in the iGaming sector, for example, and you are in Malta, then I highly recommend meeting up with people like Sean, or come and see our talk, do a networking event afterwards. Come and say hi, because the more people that you can kind of leverage with and talk to within the community, they can all be sharing ideas and all be sharing part of their failures. And you could be running head on into a brick wall that someone might be able to say, look, if you carry on the way you're going to get an unnatural links penalty, or you're going to get hit with a helpful content update, or you're going to get hit with many other kind of partial penalties that Google are applying on your websites. So having that kind of your network is your net worth is vital. So you can learn from what other people are doing wrong, not what just that they're doing right. Sometimes it's what they're doing wrong that you might be able to learn from the most.
So a business partner and a good friend of mine once told me, and this was when we were going through a very tough time in our business at that point in time, was I never learned anything from success, but I learned everything from failure. So I couldn't agree more with you from what you're saying. And I mean, talking about embracing failure, I mean, I myself, I had an agency which was earning 350K MRR per month, and then it went to zero within 1 month. And then we managed to win it back to six figures and within another, I think, 4 months. And, you know, it's exceeded all of those numbers by multiples at this stage. So, and that experience taught me that embracing failure teaches you lessons that make you a better leader and help you, as you said, fail forward, right? And be able to go towards that next level. Because as that business partner mentioned, success teaches you nothing, failure teaches you everything. So I was wondering, James, if you could maybe give the community, give our audience, the people who are going to come and see you next week at the conference, maybe a little nugget of wisdom from, let's say, a failure which stuck with you, which really hit home and taught you a really valuable lesson. What would that be?
Yes, I'll give you a real example at present of where I used to always believe there was four pillars of SEO, and a lot of people still talk about these four pillars, which is technical. So making certain that it can be crawled, it loads fast, there's not lots of 404 errors, just basic technical kind of building out the website. Good quality content, making certain you've got the right entities on the page, there's not a lot of fluff, that it kind of is the best content that's out there. Topical authority. So after you've now got lots and lots of articles that are clusterizing together, you've got the hubs and the spokes that are all internal linking to each other, and then backlinks. Right? That's what everyone thinks are the four pillars of SEO, right? Well, Sean, obviously, when we was in Cyprus and we had a great conversation and we was talking about lots of different projects, if you remember, there was a project that I had that had an unnatural links penalty in Google. The content was absolutely terrible. They didn't even understand what semantic triples was. They didn't even understand what getting the right entity on the page even meant. The heading hierarchy wasn't very good. They had no topical authority. They had cannibalization going on. And technically, Carl Hudson, who's my business partner, says, I have never seen a worst website technically in all my life. Yet, every time we published an article on that website, it jumped top 5 for some of the most competitive terms in the iGaming space. You honestly, like live casino and everything. And this is in the UK as well, right? So
A very difficult market.
Why is this? Now, fast forward, and I'll quickly tell you two of the reasons why it was jumping in straight away. One, it was in Google News, in old Google News. And two, the virality systems of what it was getting naturally, it had a massive Pinterest following, and it had a massive Twitter following, and it had a large YouTube kind of subscriber count. So every time they posted a video about, let's say, horse racing tips and stuff like that, every time it pushed that video out and shared it onto places like Reddit, shared it onto Pinterest, and shared it on Twitter, it was getting thousands of clicks from social media through to that page. Those clicks was then triggering it to be in Google top stories, and then it was then a lot of time getting into Google Discover. So the clicks that it was getting was insane volume of clicks. And then before you know it, it was jumping top 5 organically in the rankings. And that's when I started to realize that when you look at the main 4 pillars of SEO of technically it was garbage. Topical authority, it had no topical authority. Good quality content, it had no good quality content. And backlinks, these had no backlinks. It had an unnatural links penalty. I then started to realize, yes, those 4 things are important, but there's lots of other things going on here. And that's when I started to dive deep into NavBoost, Instant Boost, and all the usability metrics of what Google are using to understand that that is actually the key to rankings. And that is the future of SEO, in my opinion. Obviously, you still want to try to make certain the other 4 pillars of SEO are done correctly. But if you can try to some people are trying to manipulate it and doing it very well on instant boost. I do worry long term for NavBoost what's going to happen, because the user signals on, let's say, pop traffic and other places of where you can be hitting it directly through to the website can give you short-term rankings, but it's almost like heroin, where every 3 days you've got to go back and boost it again, then boost it again, then boost it again. And for that reason, you're only getting a lot of short clicks. You need to be trying to make certain that you are getting the longer clicks, that you are getting people spending time on your site. How can you design the page to try to get them to kind of be clicking on multiple pages and stuff like that? Now, how can you do that? That's what we're going to discuss over in Malta. There's lots of different tips and tricks that you can do. And I'm still, like I said, I'll repeat to you, Sean, I'm still, and you know this, I'm still a big advocate of good quality content, topical authority, backlinks, powering up your backlinks, getting virality through to your backlinks, and also like technically having a good quality site. I'm all for doing everything correctly. I just want to open it up to certain people that are obsessed by saying it's just a content and link-based algorithm.
And I mean, James, I can tell you and I can validate this in some SERPs in the iGaming industry. If you're not either trying to manipulate or put some kind of strategy into the virality of your website, you have zero chance. Now, one thing that people aren't really talking about is like how to ethically source these kinds of options. And there are quite a lot of things out there which you should or should not do. And I'm sure you're going to go into these in quite a lot of detail in Malta. I know that the methods which you utilize are, let's say, completely kosher, safe, scalable, and mainly rely on just really amazing marketing techniques. So what I love about talking with James is that every time I speak to him, I leave with something that I can implement, right? So the last time that we spoke, we were talking about failure and how every single time that you have a failure within your company, your employees go and ring a bell, right? It's like the failure bell, which is so freaking smart. I mean, sometimes as a leader, you can look at your team and you can see the errors in your leadership by the ways with which they act. And I think that rewarding failure is so smart. I mean, since we spoke last, I've actually set up a failure fund where every single month the idea is to keep on growing this fund, where the whole idea is to burn this money to figure out how we could stretch either Google's algorithm, Meta's, or some other marketing platform, which we're testing at that point in time. And it's been, I mean, game-changing for us, right? And the goal for this is to get that fund as large as possible. Because the more you're failing, the more you're learning. The more you're learning, the more you're generating results. The more results you generate, the more you fail to generate higher results, right? So it's like this beautiful cycle which you've created. But I know that people couldn't care less about hearing about my journey, about failing at this point in time, but more about how you could give some tips on like the structures which you've set up within your team to, I don't know, systemize, rapidly scale, record results, report back on them, distribute that culture around your entire office space. So I mean, I'd really, really be interested, and I'm sure everyone else will be also into learning more about that and like talking about the specific failure, right? So this failure of this website turned into a huge success, which I'm sure you've become hyper obsessed about because I know your character at this stage. And I'm sure that you have people just working on this day in, day out, new tests, new hypotheses, and so forth. So how does it look like being in the world of the James Dooley Enterprises scientific approach of testing in 2025?
What you said there about having a pot for literally trying a pot for failing.
Yeah.
One of the first things that we start to do is once we've got a member of staff that's been with us for 18 months, I told you this in Cyprus, we get them to launch 3 websites, a branded website, an exact match domain, and then one that's just going to be, your job is to get an unnatural links penalty or a manual action penalty. What we don't want you to do is go and do bad quality content. We want you to do good quality content and topical authority, but we want you to hit it that hard with links. We want you to go and burn that site and get an unnatural links penalty. That's your plan, right? So they run those 3 sites, right? After about 8 months, and this happens nearly 90% of the time, the site where you're trying to burn it to try and get an unnatural links penalty ends up performing the best, ends up ranking the best, and end up doing the best. The exact match domain ends up doing the second best, and the brand ends up doing the worst. Now, everyone's obsessed with brand, and I am too. Now, long term, you want to be building branded assets if you can. However, in the iGaming sector, where it is churn and burn, and there's negative SEO going left, right, and center, well, there's times to say, get in there, get quick. Some people call it Parasite SEO, where you're leveraging third-party websites and stuff like that. But if you're getting in quick and getting out, and then you're looking for a sale, or you're looking just to earn a few $100,000 a month on a site, knowing that in 6 months' time it might be gone, sometimes you can't do that with branding. Branding's the slowest way of doing it now. Long term, away from the iGaming sector, I'd say build brands, build a bona fide company and try to do it. But in a lot of geos in the iGaming sector, I'd say go down the exact match domain route, the PMD route, or go down doing the virality in the short term route and stuff like that. And we only got to know this because, again, it was when we was trying to get someone to fail and get an unnatural links penalty that we started to realise that, I don't know, this was taking years before we actually got hit. So when you're stretching the elastic band, is what I used to always say, is everyone thinks that that's how far you can stretch the elastic band, where realistically, it's so much more before it snaps. And everyone's playing in the comfort zone. And you can push the boundaries so much more within the algorithms. And when you start to understand how far you can push it in certain industries, if you need fast rankings, if you know how far you can push it, then happy days. You know what you need to do. But you only learn when it fails how far you can go. Because if you're not failing, you don't know how much more aggressive that you can be.
And I mean, I've seen this, and this will probably resonate with the audience and with a lot of people who are operating the iGaming industry. So the iGaming industry was quite stable in terms of SEO for many years, but in 2023, as you mentioned, it switched from those large brands to Parasite assets taking over, although Parasite was working from a long time before it got popularized in 2023, as did AI change the game in terms of the amount of garbage that you could put out there in a short amount of time and just rapidly scale strategies. And all of a sudden, the strategies that people were using were just not working anymore, right? And it's funny to see still in 2025, let's say online casino operators having the same kind of, let's say, statistics which they follow for domain rank, or domain authority, which are things which can easily be manipulated. This amount of keywords, these ratios, this stuff on Majestic, the spam score on Moz, and I mean, it's almost as if people haven't tested things since 2023, are still basing their analysis on metrics which are outdated by at least 2 years, and aren't living in the current world, which is SEO, iGaming 2025. Burn fast, learn fast, come back fast, learn how to recover those burnt assets, and scale fast because you don't know how long it's going to last. And I think like the best example of that are some keywords within the Swedish iGaming SERPs, which are the craziest SERPs that I've seen. And I don't think that anywhere else in any other niche are you going to see a SERP like certain keywords in the iGaming niche within Sweden. It's insane. I mean, you have Spotify ranking for iGaming terms in some cases. It's quite interesting. But James, I mean, you're not only into SEO, you're also an author. You're also a businessman. And you've also written some fantastic content and gone for some incredible collaborations. I mean, Leads First was an incredible book. And I was just wondering how your approach with leads and lead acquisition kind of combines with your SEO strategies and how those merge together.
Yeah, I mean, so basically a while back, maybe just slightly over a decade ago, I was going to get into having an SEO agency. And I quickly realised that business owners don't really understand SEO, but what they do understand is a return on investment. And if you speak their lingo, a business owner really cares about pretty much like return on ad spend, or if I buy this, what is this going to make me in return? And SEO is very difficult to kind of quantify how much it's going to cost and how much are they going to earn. So what I ended up doing was just deciding to build out the websites. I can design it in my own way with a conversion rate optimization head on to make certain that I know it's going to kind of convert. Once they get the clicks, it's going to convert into inquiries. I don't need to then start explaining why I'm doing it or what color of a button I'm doing. I'm building my own site that says I'll generate you leads, you will convert those leads into profit, and then you just pay us a commission based or revenue share based, like a finder's fee. And it was a no-brainer for these businesses. And this is where we was able to grow a lot of different assets out, because what was able to do is us build the site on behalf of for them. We would do all the hard work. We would do all of the link building. We'd do all the content, the topical authority. We'd build up like now we're using like things like NA10 on like AI to get all the social media being active consistently all the time. If someone's tweeting about, let's say, a certain type of carpet cleaner, and we're a carpet cleaning company, we'd be responding to them on NA10. Oh, by the way, have you seen our products? Have you seen our machines? Or do you want a done for you service? And we're getting those clicks. We used to use like things like Mass Planner. Now it changed to like Jarvie, Tweet Attacks Pro. We're trying to leverage as many different tools as we can to engage where people are engaging, whether it's Twitter, Pinterest, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and trying to get them to come through to our website. Now, that's also an amazing SEO strategy because of the virality that we're talking about. But also, this is what real people do. This is where if someone's asking on Twitter, what should they do to remove red wine off a carpet, or they're asking that on Reddit, answer it and send it through to your website if you've got the chemicals to do it, or the machinery, like a carpet cleaning machine, and just change that example of carpet cleaning for any industry that you want, whether you do roofing, electricians, plumbing. They're brilliant at plumbing or fixing a roof. They don't understand SEO. So we try to take it all away from them, and what they do understand is leads and converting them into profit. And that's kind of what we ended up doing from a lead generation point of view. And this is where I genuinely believe that 90% of businesses that are like trades businesses that fail in the first 5 years is generally to do with they don't have enough inquiries coming in. If they've got enough inquiries, they don't fail, because they can start upping the prices. They're not being too cheap, but a lot of the time they don't get enough inquiries. They need to go in cheap. As they're going in cheap, that's when things start to go wrong. So if you can get that consistent flow of inquiries, and that's why I wrote the book, to send it out to so many business owners to say, look, you've got a good business and you've got some great staff. All what you need now is someone to plug in a lead generation for what you do, and you could 5x the profit. You might only need to double the revenue, but you could 5x the net profit. And then quite a lot of them end up listening to us. We've got over 1,000 clients in the UK now that do it. And yeah, we've like clients generally don't leave us. The lifetime value of our clients are incredible, because they never leave, because there's no reason for them to leave, because we're always guaranteeing a return on investment.
And are those leads mainly coming through Google or through other platforms like Meta, Facebook, Instagram? Yeah.
To start with, 100% of it comes from organic SEO. So we build out the
Yeah.
website, we start to get the data, and it starts to come from there. Once we start finding the really long tail keywords that might not cost that much to run PPC to, at that point we might start running some PPC. We run like retargeting on Instagram and on Meta. And in time, if we've got a really, really good offer, then we might then just run cold social media ads on like YouTube, Twitter, Pinterest. It depends on the niche, and then Meta like Facebook and Instagram. But only if it's got a good hook and a good offer will we run cold social media.
No, I mean, I can confirm this. So when I used to exhibit at events in iGaming, you could spend, 150K on a single event, right? On the stands, the hotel rooms, the personnel, the manning, the promotion, yada, yada, and all of these things. But then you're like kind of stuck in a physical location. And to make that back, if you want to have 1,000 customer acquisition costs, you need 150 people, right? Actually, that become clients, which at an event is kind of like a very, very low probability, as they're quite massive, especially these iGaming events. And not only are they massive, but you're only going to get, even with 100, 150K, 60K, 70K, you're only going to get a very, very small stand, a very small presence kind of thing. For you to get your return on investment over there, it's going to be tough. But what I've found from having a good hook, having a good offer, promoting this, you can get, let's say, customer acquisition cost of, let's say, 200 euros. you know, from maybe 3 to 5,000 euros. So it's like effectively what you've done and the way that you've approached it is to create a money printing machine. So obviously people are never going to want to stop working with you, right? Which is fantastic. And James, I mean, it's so interesting talking to you because you're involved in so much stuff and you know so many people. And you managed to get how many people together for that iGaming SEO book? I think there were like, 50 authors or 60 authors.
Over 60 different authors. I mean, to be honest with you, since then, we've had hundreds reach out to want to try to contribute. But I tried to keep it where it was just the highest level iGaming SEO specialists that kind of put there, because there's no point in having someone that's not failing, that aren't pushing the boundaries, that aren't ranking in today's algorithms. Otherwise, you're just going to be reading old ways of trying to rank with SEO. So I spoke to people like yourself saying, who is doing really well? Because obviously I don't know everyone in the iGaming sector who's absolutely crushing it. And obviously you put me onto a few great high-level iGaming SEO specialists. And yeah, all what we wanted to do was, in my opinion, there's more than one way to skin a cat. So where these books came around was, I don't want to listen to one person's opinion of how to rank, because if they are brilliant at semantic SEO, they genuinely believe that everything is about the content and semantic triples and removing all fluff and like everything's to do with the content that's on the page. If I speak to a link building agency, they just obsess over digital PR, guest posts, PBNs, niche edits, tiered link building, and they say the content doesn't really matter and it's all about the links. So what I wanted to try to do is get everybody involved that's doing well, and they can decide, is it branding? Is it virality? Is it links? Is it content? And then everyone might have a slightly different opinion. So as you're reading through the book, you're getting all these different nuances, and they've all got a good, like each one of them are doing successfully well. So it's not like I disagree with what they're saying completely, but I might take bits from that chapter and bits from this chapter. And overall in the book, you've got different people's opinions. And I like the idea that people disagree on things, because one thing might work for them, might not work for somebody else in a different geo. So that was the reason of trying to collect the best 50 or 60 contributors to the iGaming SEO book.
Yeah, and if everyone agrees, life wouldn't be entertaining, right? I mean,
exactly
if you see the Trump Musk fiasco which is happening on Twitter right now, that's free entertainment.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Was there anything that stood out? Like anything in particular where you said, that's something cool? Or was it like mainly stuff you knew about already?
There was bits that we tested. So there was one or two in there that said like page rank now is obsolete, and they believe that it's traffic juice instead of link juice is kind of what they're talking about. So we wanted to run some tests to check whether that was true or false. Obviously, it was false. Like it's easy to test certain things like that. It's easy to test by hitting some power through to, let's say, tier 1 backlinks, which powers up that page, which then the page rank goes through to the website and stuff. There's lots of different ways that you can test certain things. But I think sometimes I learn that your new podcast is called Fail Forward. And sometimes there is certain people, even who are doing very, very well, that was contributing, that are very stubborn and in the old ways. Because this might have worked 3 years ago and they earned a lot of money by doing those methods 3 years ago, they're still redoing those kind of methods in today's algorithm, and it's not working. And they're always blaming somebody else, and they're starting up a new website and it's not working again. And there's a few of them that I've spoken to, and they've made a lot of money back in 2022. And they're reinvesting all this money. And I'm like, have you had any projects in the last 18 months actually work? And they're like, well, no, not yet, but we're going to. And I'm like, it doesn't take that long in certain industries to rank. In certain industries, you can rank within months. In Parasite SEO, you can rank within days. So why are they not earning certain money? There must be something fundamentally wrong with what they're doing. And sometimes trying to speak to these people who have made money, but they're very stubborn and not willing to change. I worry for some of those people, because the algorithms are changing on a week-by-week basis.
Yeah, and we work in an industry where it's very, very humbling, because what you're doing today might not work tomorrow. And like you're saying, if you build up ego and you base your decisions on ego and you have those successes, you're only about to get slapped in the face, either next week or the week after. And if it's a cash roll kind of scenario, eventually you're going to run out, right? If you're just like shooting ammunition at the completely wrong target.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Parasite. What's going on with Parasite right now? Have you seen any particular niches which are benefiting the most, or are you just seeing it across the board, James, at this stage?
Do you know, I'm presuming this is going to be one of the questions that get asked in Malta. And in my opinion, like, if you think about what is Parasite SEO, or what some people used to call it, Moz back in the day called it Barnacle SEO. And basically all Parasite SEO is getting a third-party website that you don't own, writing a piece of content and trying to rank on their website and leveraging their domain power and the quality of the content that you're writing, and you might hit some tier 2s and virality through to that post. But surely that should just be what your link building efforts are nowadays. Trying to rank your guest posts as much as you can and trying to get a link through to your own website. Like, we've changed now. Like, Carl Hudson, who's going to be on stage with me, when people start talking about guest posts, how many people are not doing tier 2s or virality to the guest posts, and why aren't they doing it? Because they should be doing it. They should be doing everything they can to rank the guest posts, to try to get traffic through to the website. Now, if it doesn't rank and get traffic, it can still pass the page rank distribution through, or the link juice, or whatever you want to call it. But if you can try to rank it and take up another piece of the puzzle on page 1 and push your competition down further, well, we know, to a lot of big clients, we only do power posts, which is basically Parasite SEO. It's a guest post on a third-party website that's semantically written to try to rank, got the virality, got the tier 2s, and you're trying to rank it, which is Parasite SEO. And I think everybody should be doing that in every industry. The best link, in my opinion, is from a page that's ranking for the keyword that you want to rank for. That is the best link that you can get. So why not, if you're doing a guest post, try and make it that? Do you get what I mean? Like, why not just try and make every guest post that you do a Parasite article? Because that's what you should be doing, in my opinion.
How do the customers treat that information, though? So, I mean, when you're dealing with people who are stubborn, I mean, we're SEOs, right? And SEOs in our nature are stubborn to an extent, right? How do you change people's opinions? I mean, you in particular have quite a good approach with people. So I've seen you manage to influence people around you. You're very humble, curious. Your approach is quite soft, but also packed with information. But how do you change people's minds? How do you get them to see, like, hey, this isn't working?
Well, do you know what? The easy answer to that is how much money they're making, right? If I can basically, if I've got a client that's with me at present and I say, listen, we're going to upgrade your guest post here to a power post completely for free, and we're going to show you how much better this is. And then when we show them and we deliver them results, which I think that every SEO agency should be doing, is delivering the customers' results, is when these are business people, the clever people, like, you only need to see it once or twice, and then you start to say, yeah, this is better. Or they might assign half the budget to guest post and half of it to power posts, or some to digital PR, but they're making certain that you're loading all the digital PR kind of articles through an indexer and doing, and if you can do some virality to some of them, doing it, because like Yahoo Finance and Bazinga and loads of these other high-end, let's say the Independent, the Sun, the Telegraph, if you get an article on those for branding, if you hit them with virality, you're getting in now Google top stories. So once you get in Google top stories, that's going to get a lot more traffic. So it's just trying to make certain that these business people are clever, and if they see results, they're going to do it again. So sometimes it's just, you do it with a humble approach. You don't force anyone to do anything. You just say, in our opinion, our research and development team have found that this works best. Do you want to test it? Or we'll even allow you to test it and we won't even charge you the first time. Because we know long term, they're going to say, this is a lot better than that. Therefore, I'm going to start doing that more. So in time, it's just, the cream rises to the top. Like, if you're going to make more money by doing a certain strategy, you're going to do that more.
So a lot of these people that I speak to in the SEO space start off as, for the lack of better words, just like myself, nerds, right? So you just really get into the thick of it, you get into the data, you really start getting obsessed with being better than your competition, being number one. I mean, even just the industry itself, you want to be a position one in every single thing that you do. And you're constantly trying to beat everyone by any means necessary. And when people start having success and they start growing, then they have to start dealing with teams and management and structures. And I've seen quite time and time again a scenario where people rise really fast, they do fantastically well, they try to grow in terms of team and structure and process, and then they crumble and they start again. And they do that like twice or three times before they actually get it right. Are there maybe some tips you can give people on team building as SEO entrepreneurs when they're going from that, let's say, stage one, I figured something out in a specific niche which makes me money, now I'm looking to scale it, and you need people to help you scale. Without people, you will never reach scale. Is there something that's like some kind of feedback you can give over there to those kinds of audiences?
Yeah, for sure. Let me just try and find you. I actually got this. I wrote that with Mads. Scaling,
Okay, amazing. Yeah.
scaling a digital marketing team. It's a book on how to scale a team properly. But also, right, at the start of it, you said there's quite a lot of nerds, right? Now, these nerds might not like being a manager. They might not like dealing with staff. So one of the first things I would ask anyone who's watching this is, do you want to be you can still be the owner of the company? Do you want to run the company? Because do you know what? If you're the CEO or the managing director of a company, it's not fun a lot of the time, right?
Not at all.
So you're firefighting all the time. You've got staff leaving, setting up themselves with all your tips and tricks. You've got so how much information do you give your members of staff in like you're a bit scared that they might go and leave and do it on their own. But then you've basically turned around and you can't do it all yourself. So this book talks about how the Navy and the Army does it, where they do it of a team of 2, a team of 4, a team of 8, right? And then after you go from a team of 8, you need to decide whether, do I want just 8 members of staff or am I going to go up to 30, right? Because if you start having 15, 16, 17 members of staff, it's known as the desert period. And that's the time where you need to have a middle management structure in place. You probably need a CMO, a COO, a CTO put in place. But to have those middle management, ideally, you want them to be dealing with 6 or 7 members of staff in each vertical. So you need to go from 8 up to 30 or stay at 8. And too many people go to 20 and they stretch themselves and they don't have the middle management systems in place. And that's where they fail. And that's where this is what this book generally talks about, is why so many people fail when they've got anything from 8 to 25 staff. And it's the desert period. And it's a very intriguing. So many businesses, when you look at it, so many fail because of that, or because the founder isn't a good enough managing director. And sometimes you've got to learn to let go, bring somebody in who is brilliant at running a business. You can still be the major shareholder, but let them run the staff. You could even sit there in the R&D team and still be geeking out of doing the SEO and doing the things that you enjoy, but allowing the MD to run the business and run the staff and run the recruitment, run dealing with all the things that might be going wrong, like day to day with staff not turning in and stuff like that. You can just look at the high level numbers, think, yeah, this is working for me. And you, as the owner, can get rid of the managing director at any point if you don't think that they're good enough. But sometimes learning to let go and understanding that you're not the person that should be at the top of the tree to manage these others is one of the most key and important decisions that you need to make. I enjoy it. I enjoy elevating other members of staff. I enjoy having a middle management in place. I enjoy dealing with my business partners. But a lot of people aren't like me. A lot of people are introverts and they just want to do what they do, which could be testing the algorithms. And if that is you, that's absolutely fine. You can still be the owner, and just reward a managing director to come in and run the staff. And you at any point could get rid of the CEO because you're the owner of the business. But learning to let go if you're not that person is very, very important.
Yeah, and everyone's tested in hard times, not in good times. So especially when you're building up a team, everyone's all great when things are good, but then when you go through that first hurdle, you need to be resilient, man. Yeah. How important has resilience been in your career, James?
Oh, honestly, I'd say resilience is one of the most important attributes of what you need. So being persistent and consistent, and having that resilience to just keep going through, knowing what you're doing is right. Growth is never linear. It's a roller coaster. It's like this, and you've got peaks and troughs. And in the troughs, you need to try and make certain you've got good friends. If you've got family, anyone where you can take yourself out of it for a day or two to understand what is going on and then go again. You need to make certain that you've got good business partners who can stand by you, that's not going to stab you in the back. And that's another tricky one as well, that if you are going looking for a business partner, like always try to understand, like you just said, you truly know what they're like when things are going wrong. When things are going well, if you're at a party, everyone's nice. Do you know what I mean? It's when things are going bad, are they there for you to help you when you most need it? And if they are, you've got yourself a great business partner. But choosing the business partners as well is very, very, very important as well.
Are there any patterns that you've seen? So I have quite a few business partners and quite a few businesses now, and I've gotten smarter every step of the way. So are there like some little things that I do to kind of understand before I get into like a share transfer, acquisition, or new company being set up, certain characteristics I want to test? Because as you mentioned, it's easy to get into business, but it's difficult to be in business with someone that doesn't react well when you actually need them. Are there any kinds of, let's say, tips or characteristics which you could give people to identify if someone is going to be, let's say, that great business partner, or maybe someone who you should stay away from before you go through those tough times? Is there any kind of consistent thing that you've seen?
So it's almost like doing a job interview to start with. Would you like to work with this person and stuff like that? But then further down the line, a lot of it starts coming down to what's in the heart. So have they got friends? Because if they've got lots of friends around them, generally speaking, that means that, all right, they're a likable person. If they've zero friends, they keep falling out with everyone, it's probably not going to work. So that's something that I try to look for, like what makes them tick. Is it the same thing as me? What happens if the business does really well, and let's say we get it to a 5 million valuation, right? But I'm wanting it to grow to a 30 million valuation. Is this person going to cash out at 5 million and leave me where I'm like, well, no, the aim's to get it to 30. So I want to know and understand that if things are going great, where's his cut-off point? What's his retirement plan? What does he want? Does he want more free time to spend with his family, which is fine, but during growth, I need to make certain that he's putting the hours in, or making certain his team are putting the hours in, if that's what he's doing. So I don't want him to be the best dad in the world during growth, so to speak. Like it doesn't being a good dad and being very, very good at business and growth kind of pulls away from each other. Now I want to be both now, but at the time of growing and being really aggressive on growth, things are going to go wrong, and I want people to jump at it and not go, well, it's Friday, I'll speak about it on Monday. Like, so there's times if we are going to be going for aggressive growth, I need to understand who that person is. On the flip side to it, I like sometimes that they are a parent, or I like it that they've got lots of friends, because I now understand their purpose in life of what they want to do. And if we're not going on an aggressive campaign, I want them to switch off of a night. I want them to have weekends. I want them to be the best dad they can be in the world. But it just depends on what aligns with each other and what you're trying to do. If you want a quick fix, you need to go very aggressive, and you need to make certain that if a competitor comes along, you're willing to go bigger and harder than what they're going to win the race. And if they're not willing to do that, well, maybe that specific venture isn't best being done with that person. But yeah,
So
there's lots of other things where normally I would start. Let's say yourself, Sean. Mate, I really like you. I think you're a great guy. I've met you several times now. I would go into business with you, but what I would do is I would start it on a venture that isn't a multi-million pound where we're both having to put £500,000 in or £1,000,000 in each and go really big on a really big venture to start with. I'd start it on a smaller venture. Let's say, all right, let's get this website to a 3 million valuation and let's look to flip it. And let's see how that works together. So it's not a massive venture of what we're doing together, but we're building something up together. We're working with each other. We see how you work. Like, are you a morning person? Are you a night person? How do you deal with staff and stuff like that? And if it worked well, then I might then decide, okay, this worked well. I can now do a secondary one, which is slightly bigger. So you kind of touch the what, like you dabble in the waters a little bit, and then bit by bit you can start to go, do you know what? I think I can run multiple websites or multiple companies with this person because I love the way that they work. I love the way that they treat the staff. I love the way that they elevate other people around them. So I start small with someone, plant that seed, and hopefully then it can then start to grow out into being something bigger.
so you're using the testing phase in the way that you deal with business also, which is great, right?
Yeah,
I
sure.
mean, and one thing that you mentioned struck me immediately, which is, show me your friends and I'll show you your future, right? So
Yeah.
I couldn't agree with that more. James, AI. I mean, listen, AI, everyone talks about AI, AI this, AI that. It's like everyone's just including the two letters AI into everything they talk about nowadays, it seems. But obviously, I'm a very process-oriented guy, I started a business myself and I got into this venture not because I wanted to get into business, but because I saw that the tools which were available weren't actually solving the problems. It required a lot of like manual work, a lot of repetitiveness, yada, yada, yada. And I said, this just doesn't make sense. I need to build up my own kind of tools, my own kind of automation to get out of having to do things manually, right? And effectively like monkey work. But now, recently, then we got into systems, we went into development, but now AI is at the stage where it's no longer a buzzword, in my opinion. Some of the things which are coming out are quite insane. So I have, let's say, involvement in a company called Xgenia, where we started off building slots from prompts, casino slots. So you just, let's say, type in a couple of prompts. Before you know it, within 5 minutes, you have a fully functional slot to take to a GLI or compliance, whatever, get it approved. And now it's gone from that. My business partner over there just was like a mad genius, right? Took it from prompt to slot to prompt to anything, and it's insane when I see this working. And instantly, the first thing which came to my mind was, oh, this is great, prompts to anything. All of these processes that I've created, which, you say you can do with AI and the AI agents, in my experience, a lot of that was bullshit. How can we actually turn that into products, but without needing development teams anymore? And we're doing it, right? So we're taking our SOPs, we're putting them into these systems, we're building products modularly, not through code, which is really, really nice. And we're starting to see the output over there. So all of a sudden, monkey work, the vision I had 5 years ago is finally coming through fruition. But like, where do you see AI fitting in? Especially you have so many different businesses, so many different angles you're working on, so many different people that this will impact, Where do you see it fitting in?
So for me, it supercharges everyone around us. So a normal content writer now can become a great content writer. The people that are leveraging and doing outreach now can outreach to so many more websites and negotiate rates so much faster. People that are creating images can create images a lot faster. Video kind of editing for video shorts, which is another massive kind of growth area. Whether that's on Pinterest or uploading to YouTube or on Instagram or on TikTok, they're ranking left, right, and center now. There's actually a video shorts tab and stuff like that. So AI is there to help everyone. Now, what I'm not doing at present is looking to create an AI business that creates a tool or service for the general public. And the only reason why I'm not doing that is because it's moving so fast. By the time I've built it and marketed it, something else has come out that's better. So I don't feel it's worth creating at present. This is just myself. I'll eat my words here, because there'll be some people that will comment on the video saying, well, I just scaled out doing this, this, and this. And I'm not saying you can't make a lot of money. All I'm saying is, by the time you've made an AI tool or an AI service, in 2 months' time, it could be made so much better with, let's say, the new Claude that's come out, or there's something else that's just come out. So for me, it's just being used for internal uses at present. But yeah, we're using it across the board for everything. How can, as long as it improves quality, how can we, or speed of what we do in something, but maintaining the quality, how can we do it? Now, what I would say, I'll flip this podcast called the Fail Forward Podcast. What I would say is, there's a lot of people that are hearing the buzzword of artificial intelligence, and they're just using it blindly without properly understanding how to prompt it. And they're scaling stuff that is below average, and that's not good for Google or not good for the algorithms, because now you're scaling things that are not good, and sooner or later you're going to get I've seen a lot of sites start to get hit because they've started to scale AI content with not the right prompts, and it's just all the information that they already know that's there, done with a load of fluff, and it's just like, what they once had a good site, and now 90% of the site isn't getting any clicks, isn't getting any impressions, and then site-wide now, they're now starting to get hit for the main money keywords. But because they thought they needed to do topical authority, they quickly scaled garbage AI content. Now, caveat, I'm not saying that AI content is garbage. With the right prompts, it's better than what I can write and what my content writers can write. So with the right prompts, you've just got to know how to prompt it. And in my opinion, majority of people that are using AI need to go on some training courses to understand properly prompt engineering. How can you get the best output from the prompts that you're giving the AI?
I mean, it's so funny you mentioned this, because when AI first came out and people started saying I'm a prompt engineer, I started laughing. I'm like, listen, it just came out. How can you say you're a prompt engineer? Like, a whole new industry was created. But like, when I sat down with my business partner and he was seeing me prompting, he's like, Sean, what the hell are you doing? And he just like showed me, since this guy is, actually a developer developing AI products, and he showed me exactly how to prompt. The quality of the output from his prompt versus my prompt was just night and day. He completely destroyed me. And something which was quite interesting from what he told me also was that when you prompt, one of the reasons why, as an example, a ChatGPT might not be as good as Google's Gemini or any other model which is out there right now, is that it's not about the actual quality of the LLM, but it's about what the actual system adds onto that prompt. So when you're prompting, 10 words, what actually happens is, before it's fed into the system, there's like 500 lines of prompt added before it gets actually fed into the system. So if you start understanding what those lines of code or lines of prompt are before they're actually fed into the LLM, then you can become a better prompter and you can start generating better results. I mean, something which blew my mind was that this guy's like, listen, you're being too nice to the AI. Like, what do you mean I'm being too nice to the AI? It's like, yeah, you have to threaten the AI. I'm like, what do you mean you have to threaten the AI? So he like took over my LLM account and just started like saying, listen, if you don't do this, that, and that, I'm going to switch you off, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, come on, man, this is bullshit. This is not going to work. I'm telling you, James, the output increased by at least 200%. Now, if AI turns into Skynet, I'm number one target, right? Because of this guy. But yeah, but let's see. I mean,
no, but exactly what you're on about there, right? So
yeah,
literally this week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week, I took 11
yeah,
middle management out, all the directors of one of the businesses. And what we did is we just sat there for 3 days. Overnight, we went go-karting and doing like team building and building culture and stuff. But during the day, all what we did was saying, okay, here's the desired output. Show me how you would get to this desired output. And everyone was showing their own prompts. I do this, I do that, I do this. And what was happening was, someone was doing it very well for one kind of way of getting a design output, and someone was doing it for a better way. And literally on Thursday, when they all went home, they all says that was the best 3 days I've had in years. Like, I learned so much from being able to prompt in the correct manner, exactly what you're on about. Like, like the long dashes, like the EM dashes and stuff like that, right? Which hardly anyone used to use them. Yes, it's part of English grammar, but hardly anyone used to use them. And now it's every other sentence people are using the long dashes. The with regards to that, we was asking it not to use it, but then it kept using it. So then what you're on about there, there was a prompt. I can't remember the exact prompt. I'd try and find it. Yeah, it was something where it was threatening the AI. If you use an EM dash, it will harm someone, or I can't remember what the prompt was. And it never used the EM dashes again. So, like, if you prompt it in a certain manner, that I need to find the prompt what it did, but I'm like, no, surely that's just not going to make any, and it didn't. We was
It
like,
did.
reiterate, do not use under any circumstances an EM dash, and then it was doing. I'm like, I've asked you not to. Oh yeah, sorry, my mistake, and then it redoes it. But there were certain prompts that we started to do that are more concise, but was giving us a better desired output.
I mean, that's insane, right? Threaten AIs.
Yeah.
But this is the world. This is the world we live in. You have to keep them under control. James, we've been going for, I think now, close to an hour.
Yep.
So we're at 55 minutes. Thank you so much for coming on, giving all of this value for free to so many people. Again, anyone watching this till now, James will be here next week. He's a great guy, very approachable. I feel blessed to call him not only a contact, but also a friend. I'm sure a lot of people in Malta will do also. So please, you're going to be here from when? From the 10th to the 13th of June, right? Which is next week.
First thing Tuesday morning, I'll land in Malta.
Perfect. So first thing Tuesday morning. Listen, hit us up, okay? Just contact me on LinkedIn. We're going to try and maybe get some jet skis, right? If anyone wants to join, let us know. I mean, Malta is beautiful and sunny right now, so it's definitely the perfect time. And James, I mean, before we just head off and close this up, I was just wondering if you could give any advice to any aspiring entrepreneurs. So you're a great SEO, but I think you're an even better entrepreneur. And I'm pretty sure that there are loads of entrepreneurs over here who are just, if they don't know who you are, now they do. And if they still don't know who you are, please go and do some more research and please rewatch this. Is there any advice you could give the budding entrepreneurs in 2025 before we head off and come over to Malta next week?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for anyone who is an entrepreneur that's looking to grow their career or looking to grow any assets of what they have, one thing I would say is with regards to networking, if you want to build up your own in-house R&D testing team, like research and development testing team, it's very, very, very expensive. I wouldn't recommend relying on just your own testing. So the only way of being able to help if you've got a little bit of testing yourself, but if you're wanting to try and get the latest information of what's working in today's algorithms from an SEO standpoint, you need to be networking. You can't just hit somebody up on Facebook and think they're going to give you all the inside secrets. What you need to try to do is, like where I met Sean in Cyprus, you go to these events, you go and try to speak to these people, and then try to give some value yourself, and then you'll get value in return. It is almost like peer for peer. You want to be trying to make certain that you are networking with the people that are testing the algorithms on a daily basis. This is from an SEO standpoint. And then building friendships. Like, legitimately, you just said there, Sean, like, I know Clash you being a close friend. If something changes in the algorithm, I'm hitting you up. Sean, what do you think about this? Oh, have you seen this and what's happening? And we can then share information, we can share data, which lowers both of our costs, because now I've got your data, you've got my data, and we can negotiate. So what I'd say is get yourself out to these events, getting over to the SBC event in Malta. If you can't, and you can't make it there, just make certain you attend the next one, because having these relationships is where then you can then start asking certain questions where if you didn't know them, you'd think I'm not going to tell you that, but if you build those friendships with people, you can share information, you can learn what to do, but also what not to do. This is where about failing is very important. Someone is always going to be slightly ahead of you. So if you can try to speak to them and they can tell you what growing problems they had, you then could be running straight into that problem, and it could be the best bit of information. Could save you not only money, but more importantly, could save you a lot of time.
And I can tell you that I had some friends that I met at, like I told you, James, I was traveling like a crazy amount last year, 57 flights. And I met some people who helped me recover some penalized domains and assets, which now have turned into huge money generators. So yeah, I mean, there's a direct value to networking and a direct value to sharing your knowledge. Give it away for free. Someone will do the same to you. And that's how you build network. James, thank you so much for joining. And really do appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to meeting you next week.
Yeah, I can't wait to see you, Sean. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, James. See you, man.
Thank you. Bye.